A white millionaire CEO, dressed in a tailored suit, leaned back in his chair at a glittering charity gala. His laughter echoed through the room as he pointed at a young black girl quietly playing chess in the corner. $100 million if you beat me at chess, he sneered, expecting humiliation to follow. But what happened next stunned everyone and changed lives forever. Meet Amara Johnson, a 19-year-old college student from Harlem. Her mornings began before sunrise, helping her mother prepare for another grueling double shift at the hospital. Their small apartment was filled with the hum of the city outside, but inside, it was a sanctuary of resilience. Amara's mother, exhausted yet determined, reminded her daily, "We may not have much, but we have each other and that's enough." Amara carried that strength into her own life. She balanced classes, part-time work, and endless responsibilities. Yet, amid the chaos, she found solace in chess. At the local community center, she discovered the game that would become her lifeline. Her mentor, Mr. Lewis, an elderly man with kind eyes and a patient voice, taught her that chess wasn't just about pieces, it was about life. Every move matters, Amara. Strategy is survival. Chess became her rebellion against a world that underestimated her. While others saw a struggling student from Harlem, Amara saw herself as a strategist, a fighter, someone who could outthink even the most powerful. But the world around her was harsh. In 2025, New York City was a place of extremes, luxury penthouses towering above neighborhoods where families fought to keep the lights on. Billionaires flaunted their wealth, while working-class families, like Amara, scraped by. She felt the weight of inequality every day, yet she carried herself with quiet dignity. And then came the night that changed everything. At a charity gala she attended through a scholarship program, Amara found herself in a room filled with wealth and arrogance. She sat quietly at a chessboard, her fingers moving with precision, her mind locked in strategy. That's when Richard Whitmore, a millionaire CEO notorious for his arrogance, noticed her. He laughed, dismissive, condescending. $100 million if you beat me at chess, he declared, expecting the crowd to join in his mockery. The room fell silent, eyes turning to Amara. She looked up, her gaze steady, her voice calm. "I accept." And with those words, the stage was set not just for a game, but for a battle of dignity, resilience, and justice. The charity gala was a dazzling spectacle, crystal chandeliers, champagne glasses clinking, and conversations dripping with wealth and privilege. Amara felt out of place, her thrift store dress carefully ironed, her posture straight, but her heart pounding. She had been invited through a scholarship program, a token gesture from the wealthy elite who rarely looked twice at students like her. In the corner of the room, she found solace in a chessboard set up for entertainment. She moved the pieces with quiet confidence, her mind sharpening with each calculated move. That's when Richard Whitmore noticed her. Richard was the kind of man who believed money equaled superiority. His empire stretched across industries, and his arrogance was as vast as his fortune. Spotting Amara, he smirked, amused by the sight of a young black girl absorbed in a game he considered beneath his attention. He approached, his voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. $100 million if you beat me at chess. The laughter that followed was cruel, designed to humiliate. But Amara didn't flinch. She looked him in the eye, her voice steady. "I accept." The room fell silent. Guests leaned in, intrigued. Richard sat across from her, dismissive, certain this would be a quick victory. Yet as the game began, his smirk faded. Amara's moves were sharp, deliberate, and brilliant. Each piece she touched carried the weight of her struggles, her resilience, her determination to prove that brilliance knows no boundaries. As the game unfolded, something unexpected happened. A waiter, noticing Amara's trembling hands, quietly placed a glass of water beside her. It was a small gesture, but it steadied her. She whispered a soft thank you, her dignity intact even in the face of mockery. Richard, too, began to notice her composure. For the first time, he saw not just a girl from Harlem, but a strategist who commanded respect. His arrogance wavered, replaced by curiosity. He leaned forward, his tone shifting. "Where did you learn to play like this?" Amara replied simply, "At the community center. My mentor taught me that every move matters." The crowd murmured, impressed. Richard's initial cruelty gave way to a reluctant acknowledgement. Though he had intended to humiliate her, he found himself drawn into the game, into her story, into the quiet strength she carried. This was the first crack in his armor, the first act of kindness, however small. By taking her seriously, by asking about her journey, he offered her dignity in a room that had tried to strip it away. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart, and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. The chess match stretched on longer than anyone expected. Richard, once smug and dismissive, now leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration. Amara's moves were precise, her strategy relentless. The crowd, initially entertained by the prospect of humiliation, began to shift. Whispers of admiration filled the room. After the match ended in a surprising draw, Richard, clearly shaken, did something no one anticipated. He extended his hand. "You're extraordinary," he admitted, his voice softer than before. For Amara, it wasn't about validation from a millionaire. It was about being seen, respected, and acknowledged. In the days that followed, Richard reached out again. He invited Amara to his office, not to flaunt wealth, but to learn more about her story. She hesitated, wary of his intentions, but curiosity and the chance to prove herself further pushed her forward. Their conversations revealed unexpected common ground. Richard confessed that despite his wealth, he often felt isolated, disconnected from genuine human connection. Amara shared her struggles, her mother's sacrifices, and her mentor's wisdom. Slowly, trust began to form. At the community center, Richard visited one evening, watching Amara teach younger kids chess. He was struck by her patience, her ability to inspire. For the first time, he saw wealth not as power, but as responsibility. He offered to fund new chess programs, a gesture that shocked Amara. She accepted cautiously, knowing that kindness could be fleeting but grateful nonetheless. Just as their bond deepened, obstacles emerged. News of Richard's challenge and Amara's defiance spread across social media. While many celebrated her courage, others twisted the narrative. Headlines painted Richard as exploiting a young black girl for entertainment. Critics accused Amara of chasing money, questioning her motives. The backlash was intense. Amara felt the weight of judgment pressing down, her dignity once again under attack. Her mother worried, urging her to step back. Even Richard faced pressure. His board of directors warned him that associating with Amara could damage his reputation. The tension grew unbearable. Amara questioned whether Richard's kindness was genuine or just a way to repair his image. Richard, meanwhile, struggled with the realization that true compassion required sacrifice. One evening, Amara confronted him. "Are you helping me because you care, or because you're afraid of what people think?" Richard paused, visibly shaken. "Because you've reminded me what matters. I've spent years chasing numbers, but you've shown me humanity." It was a turning point, but the obstacles were far from over. The community center faced eviction due to rising rents, threatening the very place where Amara had found her strength. The challenge was no longer just about chess. It was about survival, dignity, and the fight for a community's future. The eviction notice for the community center hit Amara like a crushing blow. This was the place where she had discovered chess, where children found hope, where her mentor had taught her resilience. Losing it meant losing the heartbeat of her neighborhood. Richard, seeing her despair, faced a choice: walk away to protect his reputation, or stand beside her and risk everything. For the first time in his life, he chose humanity over profit. He rallied his resources, calling in favors, negotiating with landlords, and even pledging his own money to save the center. But it wasn't just Richard. The story of Amara's courage had spread online, igniting a wave of support. Strangers donated, volunteers showed up, and neighbors organized fundraisers. Acts of kindness rippled outward, small gestures that together became unstoppable. Amara, once hesitant to trust, began to believe. She saw her community rise. Inspired by her fight, she taught more children chess, instilling confidence and strategy. Her mother, exhausted but proud, reminded her, "This isn't just about you anymore. It's about all of us." The day of the final chess rematch arrived. Richard insisted on it not as a spectacle, but as a symbol. This time, the game wasn't played in a glittering gala, but in the community center, surrounded by children, families, and neighbors. The atmosphere was electric. Amara sat across from Richard, her mentor watching proudly, her mother smiling through tears. The game unfolded with intensity, each move carrying the weight of struggle and hope. And then, with a quiet but decisive move, Amara declared, "Checkmate." The room erupted in cheers. Richard stood, humbled, and announced, $100 million, just as I promised. "But it won't go to me, or to her alone. It will go to this community, to education, to opportunity." Tears flowed. Amara's victory wasn't just hers, it belonged to everyone who had ever been underestimated, dismissed, or silenced. Months later, the community center thrived. New programs flourished, scholarships were funded, and children discovered talents they never knew they had. Amara herself became a mentor, teaching young girls and boys that brilliance knows no boundaries. Richard, transformed by the experience, continued to support initiatives quietly, without fanfare. He had discovered fulfillment not in wealth, but in kindness. And Amara, she stood tall, no longer just a girl from Harlem, but a symbol of resilience, dignity, and hope. Her journey had come full circle, once the recipient of kindness, now the giver. Months after the unforgettable chess match, the ripple effects were undeniable. The Harlem Community Center, once on the brink of closure, now thrived with new programs, scholarships, and mentorship opportunities. Children who had never dreamed of stepping into a college classroom now practiced chess strategies with confidence. Believing in their own potential, Amara Johnson continued her studies, but her role had expanded far beyond being a student. She became a mentor, a leader, and a symbol of resilience. Her story was shared across the world, inspiring countless others to believe that brilliance knows no boundaries. Richard Whitmore, once known only for arrogance and excess, had transformed. He no longer sought headlines or applause. Instead, he quietly funded initiatives in underserved communities, finding fulfillment in giving rather than flaunting. His journey proved that kindness could reshape even the most hardened hearts. And Amara's mother, she finally found relief from endless double shifts. Supported by the community her daughter had helped uplift, her pride was immeasurable, her sacrifices honored. This story is more than a tale of humiliation turned triumph. It's a reminder that kindness, courage, and resilience can rewrite the rules of power. One act of compassion can ripple outward, touching lives far beyond what we imagine. Amara's journey shows us that dignity cannot be bought, brilliance cannot be silenced, and kindness has the power to transform not just individuals, but entire communities. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Share your commitment in the comments below.